In the years after World War II, the victors, the superpowers that won the war, decided to reshape the world and make it a magnificent place to live. And boy, they largely succeeded. They proceeded on two tracks, economic and political. The economic track was incredible. There was the IMF, International Monetary Fund, to control currency speculation and eliminate the boom and bust in currency. There was the World Bank to develop foreign countries economically. There was the Point Four aid program by the U.S. to send economic assistance to countries, the Marshall Plan to get Europe back on its feet economically. And then following that, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade that set up trading rules, and after that, the World Trade Organization. And one after another, these entities came in, took over, and have succeeded brilliantly at managing and generating global prosperity and ending and reducing significantly the threat of global crisis, including the IMF piece, of course, the growth of the power and the skill of the Federal Reserve Board in handling the situation. But the political efforts of the Big Four, the superpowers ending World War II, the political part fell apart at the start because it was vested in the idea of the United Nations. The thought was the Security Council would consist of the COPs, Soviet Union, the United States, Britain, and China, and that they would enforce global law and peace throughout the world and promote democracy, promote human rights, and so forth. And it fell apart completely because of communist opposition, and it increasingly became a polarized vehicle that could accomplish very little, if anything. But because the economic form of recovery was so good and so effective, it soared way ahead of the political part. So politically, we are left with a world without a government, without a way that people can manifest their will on those who lead them, can speak out about where they want to go in their own direction. And we're left with a mute public and an articulate, capable, viable, powerful financial and economic sector. And this has spawned all kinds of conspiracy views and the resentment against the top 1% in the US, the animosity against the European Union and Britain and throughout Europe, because there is not the accompanying political development to permit these wonderful tools to be used on behalf of global democracy and the average global citizen. Instead, in totalitarian countries, they've been hijacked by the regimes, and in Western European countries, they've been hijacked by notions of political correctness and the bureaucracy, which is as afraid of democracy as the dictators and the czars are. And instead, the actual idea of the will of the people manifesting itself in government and through government has never worked on the global scale. And until it does, we're going to have to watch the dismantling of so many of these efforts to amalgamate global governance into rational regional areas, because there is no way to build the will of the people into it. The European Parliament, for example, has no power. You can't introduce bills in it unless you're the bureaucracy. The voting is entirely stacked in favor of the British and French parties that control the system, and it's really not a viable way for people to speak out. The colossal decision of the UK to leave the EU is a built-in part of this. And in the future, we can look forward to a robust Anglosphere, Britain and the United States and Canada, Australia and New Zealand, and to a great extent India, working together in an Anglosphere of shared democratic values and institutions and increasingly shared economic values. But unfortunately, at the moment, the rest of the world is kind of left out. Today's Lunch Lord is sponsored by Gundry MD, and as is appropriate for the holiday season of feasting, they want to let you know about one toxic vegetable that is in most people's diets and is sometimes even touted as a health food that they believe can be very harmful to your health. It can cause weight gain, digestive failure, bloat, mind fog, and all kinds of bad stuff. And while they're at it, they're going to tell you about a toxic ingredient that is in a variety of foods that are served normally in the U.S., some of which might well be on your Thanksgiving menu. So have a look at it. Thanks for watching.